Good afternoon. My name is Vince. I am the president and founder of Asian Pacific Community Awareness, and I'm here this afternoon with Garland Brinkley, who's running for Assembly District 1, and we found this really lovely little coffee shop here on Sahara called Serendipity. Good food, good coffee, and a nice little lounge. Garland, you're running for Assembly District 1. The first question I'd like to ask is why? Because politics here in Vegas is difficult.
Well, it's not that difficult here because we come from California.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot more, not vicious, that's not quite the word, a lot more sophisticated in California. So we've been here 2 years, and in the 2 years we've been here, we've seen a massive problem, in particular with education, in the K through 12. And because of my educational background, I have a doctorate in public health. I have a doctorate in economics and master's in public health. I've been teaching over 30 years. And we can't wait anymore to address the problem with education in our K through 12.
I'm very glad you said that. I mean, I have no kids, but when I was in China, I had an education company and I taught business and finance. I'm an economics major, but I'm not going to talk to a PhD about economics, that's for sure. But I hope the people out there can understand basic economics 101, and this inflation package is going to do nothing to reduce inflation. In fact, this administration is not going to do anything to reduce inflation. I'm sold on that.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do at the state level for inflation. With the major part of inflation, it's actually the congressional district when you vote for there, and the president is what causes it. However, there's a portion of that inflation called cost plus inflation. Mm-hmm. And what that is with the supply disruptions, and that we can address at the local level, at the state level. One thing that the shutdown did, the governor of both here with Sisolak and also with Newsom in California, is they shut down the DMVs. And what that did was made the commercial driver's license applicants could not get them. And so we're short hundreds of long-haul truck drivers because of that. And what we could actually do in Nevada here is become a transportation or a distribution hub, and we can actually benefit off the cost push inflation. And so we can actually benefit from that if we're smart enough to do it. And so we have to open up DMV again for those commercial driver's licenses, hundreds of them.
That would make a lot of sense. I want to jump back to education. Since you have that background, and I'm an advocate for education, what can you do as an assemblyman to help improve our education system? Because I don't think most people realize that our education system started to turn south many decades ago. This didn't just happen overnight. People are just starting to wake up, but not enough people are waking up. So as an assembly person, what can you do and what can you tell our audience is important to know and do and support in education?
Well, the assembly person does 5 different things. One is they pass legislation, and I can actually help write legislation to break up the school district. So that's kind of theirs, trying to decentralize. Another thing we do is hold fact-finding hearings, and we can look at what's particularly wrong with the different school districts, especially here in Clark County. We can override the governor's veto, not too much there, but the main thing is the budget. The budget for the Clark County School District goes through Carson City, and that's where we can really address it. Right now in Clark County, we spend $2.9 billion on education, on the Clark County School District. We can spend that wiser than we are right now. Currently, Clark County, the streets were rated 49th nationwide. We can spend more money and raise that rating But even if we spent another $1 billion and took us to the national average for funding per student, it would only take us up from 49 to 43. And so much of the money we spend, or is being spent here, is wasted. It's not used well. And so that's what I can do with the assembly.
From what I understand, Florida is number 3 in education, and they spend less money than we do. So why is it necessary to keep throwing more money in our education system? As a businessman, you don't throw money at something that's not working. You find out why it's not working and then make some changes. I don't know if you remember this because you said you only been here a couple of years, and I think this happened about 3-4 years ago. When I first came here and I was reading in the Review Journal, CCSD misplaced $60 million. So I immediately sent an email. How the hell can you misplace $60 million? If you've been in finance, it's not that easy. Did you know about that?
Well, I knew about that, and one thing I did when we came here was to research the problems with Clark County. And since I'm a doctorate in economics, I do a lot of research. Look, it's like I'm actually a numbers person. That's what economics is. And looking at that, it's like, so I see this massive problems. Most of the money that goes to Clark County School District does not go to the classroom. It's not in education. It's not, like I said, in the classroom with the teachers or even calling the student. It's in the administration. And because it's so large, 300,000 students, they have all these line items and they just waste money. 97% of all school districts in the U.S. are 20,000 students or less. We've got 300,000. That has to be, I'll say, broken up or decentralized, or however you want to put it, where parents can decide where their kids go to school. If they want public school, fine. If they want private school, charter schools, micro academies, or even homeschool, the money has to follow the student, not going to the bureaucracy.
And I think parents need to start speaking up. Mama and Papa Bear, you really need to wake up and go to the school board meetings because this money is spent haphazardly. I've written many emails to CCSD, I never get a reply. You're in business, you're a smart PhD in economics, you can't keep spending money just like you don't spend your way out of inflation. You don't spend your way out of poor education. You need to find out, like one of the candidates who was running for governor, I said, what is one of the first things that you would do? And he said, Vince, we're both from Wall Street. You have to go into every department and you have to see how they're run, where the money is being spent, how it's being spent, why it's being spent there, and then you make a decision. Cut them in half, find new people. I hope you feel the same way about that because to me, education is what's going to keep this country free.
It'll keep us free and also give us the future. When our kids can't do anything besides make beds, we have no future. It's like we don't get high tech, we don't get anything like that.
Exactly.
Before I went and got my doctorate in economics, I worked for the state of California for 20 years. So I know how the bureaucracy works. And it's even bigger bureaucracy than what we have in Clark County.
Yes.
And with government, they don't have the motivation of doing things more efficiently. And so it's like, for example, if I had 10 people that I supervised and their workload increases by 10%, what I would do as a public employee is to try and get another person, because that would help me for promotion. Instead of saying, hey, instead of doing this, why don't we all basically do a little bit more, 10% more, you get a slight raise to do that, and we save money, and we have less people. But I don't get promotions, so that's why it's inefficient. The incentives aren't there to do well.
Well, I know in business there's different ways to pay employees, and one way was by productivity. And in my sales class, I used to say, you come to work 10 minutes late every day. That's what? 50 minutes a week. That's 200 minutes a month. How many sales calls can you make in 200 minutes or 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
That's opportunity lost. And I think that's what's happening here. Everybody knows the government doesn't know how to run anything. That's a known fact. Some things should be put in private hand, or some things maybe should be a partnership. So I'd like to ask you a question, because I've been trying to push this for the last 4 years to start a civilian review board to oversee CCSD. Would that be something that you would consider?
Well, I would definitely consider that, but the assembly should be the ones doing that, because they approve the budget. And so we actually have a citizens review board elected by the people. If the people in Nevada, in Clark County, keep electing the same people that doesn't do anything to try and correct the situation, they'll continue. So I do not mind in any way a separate citizens review board to bring up particular issues. Absolutely. One thing that the assembly could do is to actually remove the trustees. So they actually have that power. And if the trustees aren't doing what they're supposed to do and just bickering back and forth and fire and hire the superintendent, we could remove them.
But that's the way to run a business. And in my opinion, this country, the USA, is a big business. Nevada is a business. And yes, there are politics involved, but it needs to be managed and run like a business. When it's a business, you know where the money is going because you care about the bottom line. Maybe we should have shareholders, and then maybe someone will pay attention because they have to answer to the shareholders. And if we have more people speaking out who are really shareholders in this state, should be complaining to the government, should be complaining to their representatives.
Absolutely. In California, I was involved with the budget each year for the different departments I work for. And what the basic thing that was done was they take the current year budget, add 10%, and that's the next year's budget. And if they had extra money in some of the different line items, they would spend it because they were afraid of losing it. One year, they sent the managers down to Palm Springs for a training class to get them trained, and just to use up the money. It's like, there was no reason for us to go down there. There's like, so the managers went down there, played golf, that kind of stuff. Waste of money. But with government budgeting, if you don't use it, you lose it. So that's why they always do
That's the problem.
every time. Yes, it is.
Maybe that's some legislation we should think about, right?
Well, the decisions makers doing this, they should be rewarded for cutting the budget,
Yes.
for being more efficient.
I remember when I was at Citibank and I was the vice president in charge of the department, and I had to do a 1-year budget and I had to do a 5-year budget, and this is the money that was allocated to me, and I had to be within that budget. And if I come in every year within that budget, I got a percentage as a bonus. And I think it incentivizes me to get my people to work more efficiently and productively.
Yes. We want to work smart. We don't want to just work hard.
Yes.
And with civil service, you're judged to make sure you meet the minimum standards. And if you exceed that, a lot of times your coworkers will harass you because you make them look bad. And it's like, oh, don't, you make us look bad. You shouldn't be doing that, doing a lot of extra stuff. And it's like, just meet the minimum standards. It's like, how about if instead of minimum standards,
Yes.
you can have bonuses, if you will, if you do twice the minimum standard, or 3, that kind of thing. And there's quality control. But
Well, if Nevada wants to get high-tech jobs here, want more white-collar jobs, we need an education system that can supply them with the resources, the human resources that they need.
yes.
So besides education, what would be one of the other tasks that you'd like to work on?
Well, crime. because crime is just going up. It's like violent crimes increasing and property crimes increasing. Now, my wife and I are actually taking the North Las Vegas Police Citizens Academy right now. So it's a 10-week course. It's on Wednesday nights, and we've already gone to several of them. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. And Metro has one also. But it's like with the crime, one thing that's incredibly obvious is that they're underfunded. So I'm not for defund the police, I'm to refund the police. We need more. And with the crime, you need to make sure that the district attorney and the assistant DAs prosecute. Right now, there's 5,000 tickets for people speeding over 100 miles an hour, and that's a year. 80% are cut down to parking violations. So if I speed 100 miles an hour, I get a ticket, I can have it cut down to a parking violation, which is like, what, 20, 30 bucks? It's like, that's terrible. And so what I can do in Carson City is to introduce legislation where you can't do that with 80%. You can only do it with like 10% or 15%. But you can't speed down because we have a lot of traffic deaths here because people are speeding.
I noticed that when I first came here from New York and I saw tire marks on the dividers all over the place, and I said, how the hell do people drive here? And when I drove down 15 and all you see are billboards for lawyers, that tells you something. You can connect the dots. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience before we call it an afternoon?
I think that pretty much covers the my main issues. It's like education, crime, and the economy, and things we can do to help alleviate those issues and problems. Like I said, I've been here 2 years, but when I came here, and people ask me, how come you're running for office so soon? And I think that this way is like, if you walk into a room and you see a child that's choking and they're turning blue, what do? Do you just wait? Or do you just look around, see what other people are doing? You address it right then. And our education is so bad, you jump right in.
I honestly, my personal opinion is I don't have a problem with that, because you can see we've had people here, I've been here 7 years now, who continue to run and never win. And I don't know where they stand, what their platform is. So why not get new blood in? And that's the way you shake things up and turn things around.
You can either vote for the same people that probably won't change anything
And get the same results.
get the same result, or have new people. And people have been here 20, 30, 40 years, born and raised here. It's like, what have you done? What have you been doing? Why is it this bad if you've been here that long?
Exactly. I wish we could talk a lot longer, but we want to keep the video within 10 minutes. This way people will watch all of it. And before the election, I'd like to bring you back, because I think you have a lot more that's important to say, because you are the only one, not the only one of the very few who's talking about the issues that everybody is concerned about. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or Libertarian, these issues affect our lives every day. So these are the people that you need to consider voting for. The people that are talking about the issues and want to come up with solutions. That's the way you change things.
Absolutely. Garland, Brinkley, Assembly District 1, North Las Vegas. If you don't live there, it's probably too late to move. But if you know people there, talk to them. Have them check me out at brinkleyfornevada.com. Take a look at that. It lays out my positions, what I do, where I'm at. It lays all those out. So check me out. If you like what you see, vote for me or tell your friends. If you really like it, you can make a donation. Brinkley for Nevada. If you don't like it, don't tell anybody.
Garland, thank you very much. It's a pleasure seeing you again.
Thank you so much for having me.